Hey everybody, welcome back to the big show. We took a little break. We need a little break after our Alley 6 live show. We need a week. Got to get ourselves together. Anyways, today's show is brought to you by New Alchemy Distillers. If you haven't tried them, you got to try them. Their gin's off the chain. They got some barrel-aged gin. They got some Floret. They got some White Devil whiskey. It's the bomb, man. It's made with grapes right here in Sonoma County. It's kind of the shit. Also brought to you by the Parish Cafe, theparishcafe.com. They're serving Louisiana food right here in Sonoma County. They've got a location in Healdsburg. They've got a location in Santa Rosa. They probably got a location coming to you wherever you are because they're so goddamn good. If you know food, you know the Parish Cafe. So New Alchemy, Parish Cafe, check them out. Hey, while you're checking things out, I'm going to be at the Texas Hold'em tournament in Geyserville this Friday, September 28th at 5:30 p.m. It all goes to charity. I'm going to be there playing. If you can beat me, I'll give you a bottle of New Alchemy. Heck, maybe we'll go to lunch and go to the Parish Cafe, and I'll buy you lunch there. Anyways, come this Friday, 5:30 p.m. to September 28th to the date. That doesn't make any sense. Anyways, come play some poker. It's for charity. It's for the Geyserville Education Foundation. Be there, be square. All right, let's get the show going.
My name is Adam Welch. I've been bartending for over 10 years in the heart of the Napa Valley, always sourcing the most local, sustainable ingredients.
My name's James. I just like to drink.
Adam.
James.
Bar stories.
What'd you say?
Bar stories.
I thought you said something else.
Do it again.
Dude, I fully fucking electrocuted myself today.
Oh, Jesus.
We were doing the backsplash, and all the covers are off. Is it too loud for you?
No.
Okay.
But this is...
You don't like that at all, do you?
Well, I'm just trying to put it somewhere where it's...
Yeah.
It looks good on you.
I've got another pair of headphones. I'm going to bring them next week, I think.
So I had like the backsplash, or the covering for all the thing was off, the electrical outlets and stuff.
You
And
just
I was
jammed your
washing
hand in there?
dishes, and then I went to go turn on the fucking garbage disposal.
Whee!
And my hands were wet. It was like...
Oh, my God.
I took it like a man. I just cried for a little bit.
Electric, for whatever reason, like just even getting shocked getting out of my car, I would like much rather have like a cut or a bruise.
I know.
Something about electricity.
Yeah, this has an emotional effect. I mean, for me.
Yeah.
At that thing where you said, I cried a little.
You cried just a little bit? You're talking about your headphones?
No,
we're talking about you getting
electrocuted.
You did move.
Yeah.
I was like, those
Sympathy.
poor
I mean, it
headphones.
has for me, it has an emotional reaction. You know, it's like you just like...
I feel your pain. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Bar Stories Podcast. I'm one of your hosts. My name is Adam. Across from me is the lovely James Simmons.
Hey, everybody.
And I'm very excited about our guest today, legendary Maître d', Nick Peyton. Welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Yeah, so excited, man. I've been trying to get you and Doug on for a while, and man, dude, we are moving our guest list up.
Can I be the moron on the show? What does a Maître d' do?
There we go. I knew that was coming.
I really don't know. I've been to a bunch of restaurants. I know the word, but I don't know what part of the restaurant is that. What do you do?
I mean, my approach has always been that I orchestrate the front of house.
Okay.
So every single sense of that, from the phone calls to make reservations to the reception at the door to how the service flow goes throughout the evening. And the idea is that people walk out floating. And if you do a great job, every now and then that happens.
Nice.
Yeah.
Do you have to do the hiring and the firing too, or you don't have to deal with that part of shit?
If you're talking about strictly just the definition of Maître d', not necessarily, but in my case, I get to do that.
Yeah,
okay.
But I think that, so like,
Could be.
because there's a difference between like a Maître d' and a general manager. So like a Maître d', but I feel like you kind of do
Both.
Yeah, like,
Yeah.
because typically I think the Maître d' is more like the face, like welcoming people and, you know, sort of walking around and making sure everything's working fine. But I remember when I was working with Nick, he was doing everything on the floor. You know, if like somebody wanted coffee, he was running back there and making it, or running food and clearing and still greeting and doing everything. But
And you're in civilian clothes, right? Or are you in a unified outfit like everybody else?
Okay. I would, at Cyrus, I would wear a suit. And my suit was my own suit, whereas everybody else was wearing the same black suit. So my suit might occasionally, look somewhat different than theirs.
Because there's always been a guy at my table who walks up, and I don't know if he works there or he's like a customer, because he's dressed just like me. Yeah. I'm not in a suit, obviously. It's not that fancy of a place, but I was like, who is that guy?
I get that. Today,
do I know you?
At Two Birds, I wear a just like a business shirt and a pair of slacks, and people go, "You work here?"
Yeah.
Well, it's like I wouldn't be actually clearing stuff off.
I'm not that nice of a guy,
and I wouldn't be concerned with how your meal's going.
Yeah,
I just do that at Chuck E. Cheese. I walk around and ask everybody how's their meal going, and they're like, "What the fuck is this guy?"
Oh yeah, you're the guy. Actually, you're not supposed to be here. No, but I feel like when you are
reach in, eat some of their nachos.
Yeah. But I feel like as a maitre d', you have a certain energy and like presence about you. So when you are in the dining room, people like, if they look over, they're trying to decide whether you're the general manager, the maitre d', the owner, but you're somebody important. You know what I mean?
Well, you're supposed to set the tone, I think.
Exactly.
I think that's kind of the idea that you're the embodiment of the front of house. And so just as the chef leads his cadre, leads the whole team in the back and ensures that everything from purchasing through prep, through execution, through plating is perfect. The idea is that you're supposed to be doing the same thing in the front, so you have to embody that hospitality.
I like that you said set the tone, because I've definitely been to restaurants where the tone is not set. And it's a little bit wild, wild west. I'm not going to name any names, but there's definitely some discombobulation going on, but when you've got one leader, one guy setting the tone for everybody, then you're going to get that continued same service where you go. And service is like, I swear to God, half the meal sometimes. I mean, I can go to a place like Coppola, and the food's not very good, but the service is great. You know what I mean? But not to name names.
Yeah.
But we didn't
name names, did we?
The other Coppola.
They got no money. They are my client.
No, but that's true. Sometimes all you need is that like presence, to kind of guide and just have somebody there that where if something goes wrong, you don't know what to do. You have someone to go to.
Yeah.
And not everybody has that at restaurants. That system's not always set up. So it's usually something you can pick out right away. Like somebody's doing a good job here.
Yeah.
And Nick, how long have you been in the business?
I'm the one they come to when they go, somebody just tossed their cookies in the ladies' room.
Yeah.
It's better than tossing their salad. Hey! How long have you been in the business?
I actually started as a dishwasher as a teenager.
Really?
Yeah.
What year is this? Take us, what year was that?
Mid-'60s. I'm 70 years old, so I started working, probably about 65.
Wow.
Something like that.
Around here locally, or where was this at?
This is British Columbia.
Yeah, you weren't born here, right?
No, I was born in England.
That's right.
Family immigrated to Canada. So I went to high school outside of Vancouver in a nasty little rural town called Coquitlam.
Never heard of it. But at least you have the same queen. You left from the UK, came to Canada. They're still ruled under the Queen.
Mm.
We're part of the Commonwealth.
Yeah.
Part of
Australia, too.
Yeah. So then came to San Francisco when I was 17 and ran away from home. It was that kind of time. Did the whole thing. Came to the Haight.
That's a good place to be, man, running away from home.
What was
1966. It was a great place to be.
Wow.
That's awesome.
It was exciting.
That is crazy.
Yeah.
And then so you just continued to pursue restaurant jobs or whatever came in front of you?
Well, the thing is that, as a itinerant hippie and, person who just kind of traveled around, the job you could pick up everywhere, whether you spoke the language or not, was working in restaurants. If you had those skills, you could get hired. I worked as a bartender in Arles during Pâques, during Easter. I couldn't speak French, but all anybody ever ordered was pastis. So all you had to do is be able to put a little carafe of water and, put a bunch of Ricard in glasses and get it out to them and clean their tables and hustle around, and everybody was content.
Yeah. That's crazy.
Speaking of drinks, I see some drinks in front of us.
We do, yes.
But I'm like kind of thirsty.
So maybe I'll start with this one here. So what do we have here, Nick?
This is a Sotol. A Sotol is a spirit from Mexico. It's in the same sort of agave family as tequila and mezcal.
Wow,
but
it
it's
smells great.
done with a particular agave called a desert spoon. And it grows in Durango, in Chihuahua, and in Texas. And they actually make Sotol in all 3 states.
It's pretty interesting. Some of the stuff I've had from that's Sotol can be like very earthy and almost have kind of like muddy flavor to it. But this has a very clean like smell on the nose. And
yeah, this is I sort of refer to this as the Vida.
Yeah.
Like Vida is to mezcal, this Hacienda to Chihuahua.
You said it was made in all
Sotol.
3 states, so it's not like tequila where you can only bring in one area. So they grow this kind of regionally in the area.
They grow it regionally.
That's cool.
Chihuahua thinks of themselves as being the home of Sotol, but they do also make it in Durango. And although I understand they make it in Texas, I have never seen a commercial Sotol from Texas.
Just some dude, like, you go to his garage and he's like,
I
want to
think
get
so.
fucked up? Like, all right.
I
my butt hurts.
actually believe that's the truth.
yeah. All right.
So do we
cheers.
shoot it? What do we do?
I'm gonna sip it.
Sip
out.
it.
I would
sip it.
I would
Let's sip
sip
it.
it first. And
Trying to
then,
save a few brain cells from this
Yeah.
show. Okay. Ooh, that's delicious.
That is delightful.
Yeah.
Has
You
like
got the agave fruit comes
oh
through.
yeah,
and,
it's got like kind of a white pepper thing too on the finish of it. It's delicious.
It's got a little bit of the smoke in it, like mezcal. Mezcal or mezcal? What am I saying? What am I?
I say mezcal.
Mezcal?
Mezcal.
Okay.
Or you can say mezcal.
Mezcal. Hey. No, but it's got a little smoke on it, and then it's got that sweetness on it,
Yeah.
which I'm gonna say, which I'm not even. It almost remind me almost of a vodka, a buttery vodka at the end.
It's very clean.
Yeah, it's really good.
Yeah, you have that nice the agave fruit is what I think of it as.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, not like your Mr. Belvedere's and your airport vodkas.
Airport
But those
vodkas.
buttery vodkas, that's what it reminded me of, that little kick at the end. And I like the little
And this
leather
is-
strap on it too.
And this is very reasonably priced.
I was just
Really?
gonna ask. Yeah.
What does that retail
Bottle
for?
Barn. In my mind, I'm thinking $30, but
That's really reasonable.
You can't quote me, but that's. I
30
mean,
to
I
40.
know that I'm not spending bank
Nice.
to get
The
to
leather
get-
strap alone is worth $30.
Yeah, with a little kind of phony leather stopper.
strap
I mean, it's
alone.
like, you know.
Also can be a butt plug later. if you
Yeah.
Look at it. I don't know.
Absolutely.
And then you brought some Pacifico straight from the Pacific Ocean.
Well, that's the thing. This doesn't come from anywhere near the Pacific Ocean. This actually comes from the province right next door to Chihuahua.
Which is interesting. Pacifico.
And it's just this is your cheap case of beer from Costco.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
These you just sit there and you go, this is tasty, and it's not costing me a lot of money.
It's gonna get the job done.
And it goes with Sotol.
It
Yeah,
goes
there you
great. The only thing about the Pacifico is when I was a kid, I'm sure they've fixed this problem by now, but the boxes used to be a little light on the bottom. I swear to God, every time we got a case of Pacifico, the bottom would drop out in the
that's
7-Eleven.
no
It's happened numerous times. To this day, when I carry the Pacifico, I'm carrying it like a baby.
You're trained
I'm
to
underneath
hold the bottom.
I'm underneath the whole way. I just bought some over at Ray's, my new supermarket.
Yeah.
This episode is brought to you by Ray's. Kind of
Supermarket.
iffy reviews on Yelp. But I was still holding it like a newborn baby, like the head was going to fall off. I don't hold any other beer like that but the Pacifico. But I'm sure it's been fixed by now. This was like 20 years ago. that
Hopefully.
happened.
It's great beer.
Yeah,
Beer's good, though.
I can't say I've shared the same experience, but
It's going to happen to you now.
Now I consider myself pre-warned.
Yeah. So take us back to San Francisco. So you started working as a bartender, and then
No, actually, I started probably my first bunch of jobs were like in not such great places as a server. But when I got serious, I was in Lake Tahoe, and I'd been a ski bum for a while.
Were you
I was
working up there? What were you doing?
I was working as a casino dealer.
Oh, no kidding.
And those days, it was a great job, man. We made bank.
Nice.
I worked evenings and nights so that I had all day to ski, and we would party all night, ski all day, and then drag our butts through work in the evening.
Nice.
And it was a good life.
Yeah.
And then I got a son. And
We got what?
a son.
You made a person.
You
a
made
human
a
being.
son. Oh my God. I was thinking way deeper. I was like, what does that mean? Oh, you got a baby.
You got a sun tattoo?
And I figured I had to get serious. I
Yeah.
had to get a profession. And I thought, oh, maybe I should be a pharmacist. That seemed like
There
a
you
good
go.
idea.
Yeah.
You know?
Very tall back there. The white
And,
coat.
You know,
They make good money too.
and I knew a lot about drugs.
There you go. You're living in Lake Tahoe.
The research was already done.
This is an upper. This is the downer.
Yeah.
This one makes you see things. That's all you need to know.
That's
Really?
crazy.
So that didn't last long. And I went, why don't I do something that I've always really enjoyed? And casino dealing I knew didn't have a future for me. And so I got serious about restaurants, and I went and left. I was on the #1 Baccarat crew at Harrah's Club, which, trust me, that was royalty in those days. And I went to being a busboy in the Summit restaurant, which was their top-of-the-line restaurant, and worked my way up to back waiter to front waiter. Came down to the city, worked at that time for the top Italian restaurant in San Francisco, which was called Daro's. I went to hotel and restaurant school at San Francisco City College.
Whoa. What was that like? Because I'm thinking everybody who does like back of the house, they go to school, they're like still paying it off. And it's like 20 years ago, you know, like $70,000 or whatever.
Oh, really?
It's expensive, dude. It's like CIA, Culinary Institute.
If I can recommend city colleges to anybody, that's a way to staying out of debt.
Yeah.
2 years of city college, and you can work and stop from accumulating debt.
What happened? Why did college become so crazily expensive? Like, I never went to college. I went to junior college, and then I stopped going
I did the same thing.
because I was like, this sucks.
Well, I was just.
I didn't want to go to college. I felt like I was going to high school again when I went to junior college. Maybe that's why it didn't work out, because it was like I didn't take it serious, and I didn't have the... Fuck, what is college these days? 300 grand?
Dude.
400 grand? My friends are in their 40s, and they're still paying it off.
It's scary,
like,
man. It's scary.
I don't know.
I just want to learn.
I
I don't want to learn shit. Too old to learn.
I've got a teenage daughter, and I'm still trying to figure that one out, and she wants to go to New York University.
Of course. Out of state's even more expensive. It's like 3 times more money to go out of state.
I'm going, maybe you can do that in the last 2 years.
Yeah.
After you've gotten the really big scholarships.
Yeah, exactly.
My daughter's
You can do
9,
this.
so I can't even imagine. When she goes to college, I don't even know what's going to be.
Well, hopefully it'll be free by
8
then.
million? No.
Maybe.
Nothing will be free.
Can you like hope?
Hey, vote for Bernie.
Yeah.
He's running again?
I think he's going to go again.
He's
one more
going
time.
independent, right?
Pretty sure.
I hope he doesn't split the vote, but that's my only concern.
Just-
Bernie Sanders. I like Bernie.
I can't do a Bernie Sanders. That's-
He's a bit of a wild man, but I like him.
He's consistent.
I like him anybody
He's
better
consistent.
than Trump.
He's been preaching the same thing for a long time.
That's true.
So, listen.
He's honest. There you
Yeah,
go.
we'll see. We'll see. I don't know.
Yeah.
I didn't think Trump would be president. Well, I don't know what that's happening.
It's real.
It's real.
It's reality.
Not to divide our listeners, but not a real big fan. Anyways,
So, you legit went to school like for restaurant.
I went to, hotel and
So
restaurant
do you think
management.
you got a lot out of that? Do you think it was worth it, or do you think?
What do I think? In terms of, it exposed me to different parts of the business that I hadn't actually done. That was good.
Like the business side?
Business side, hotel side, purchasing, banquets, catering, a lot of accounting.
Yeah.
There's stuff that I had never, ever done. And that was really exciting. I really enjoyed that. And the other thing that I think was even more important was that it formalized my commitment to the industry, so that when I went to look for a management job, when I wanted to be the maitre d' that I was trying to be, people took me seriously. I wasn't just some guy who waiting tables that said, now I want to be the manager. I'd actually gone to school, and you know, I think that kind of got me a little extra edge.
Yeah. How long was the school for?
It was only a 2-year school.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
But still 2 years.
That's a long time to not be collect. But you were working at the same time while you were going to school. Hopefully.
I was working the weekends. I was working Friday evening. I was working Saturday lunch and dinner, and Sunday lunch and dinner. And
now, was there a lady in your life too? Were you married, not married when you had the son? Now I know what we're talking about.
By the time I got to school, I was well divorced.
Well divorced. Okay.
So I was
that chapter.
So
you still talk today?
She lives in Panama, which is just the perfect distance.
And you can get to her from either side of the continent very easily because of the canal.
Actually, listen, I wish her nothing but well.
Of course.
I mean, that's silly of me to said something like that, but you know, because she's she's grown and I've grown, but
you're a couple of crazy kids doing drugs in Tahoe. I mean, you know. Things changed.
We were crazy. We were crazy. There ain't any question about that.
Absolutely. So for the maitre d' part of it, what was your first maitre d' job?
Actually, while I was going to hotel and restaurant school, there was a hotel by the airport in Millbrae, and the Canadian owners wanted to have a fancy high-end restaurant in their hotel. And they had gotten themselves an Italian maitre d' who was at the stage of his life that he didn't want to work the weekends anymore.
Oh, wow.
So this
unheard of in the restaurant
This was
business.
like a perfect thing.
Yeah.
I got to be the maitre d' on the weekends.
That's big.
That's the best. Those are the best days.
Which is what he wanted to avoid. And so I got to put on my resume after I'd been there for 2 years that I'd been a maitre d' for 2 years.
That's awesome. So you just roll in Friday, Saturday night, full suit, and just like jump in?
Tuxedo back then.
Wow.
Tuxedo.
Do you get tipped out as a maitre d'?
Back then you got tipped out.
I feel like you're the one that you give the money to get the good seat, though, right?
In those days you did.
Okay.
This has drifted away more and more and more and more. And the best I ever did, there was a few years that I was in Philadelphia. And Philadelphia is a much different tipping culture than San Francisco. You know, San Francisco people, I mean, they give you 20% whether you're filling it out on Square at the coffee shop, or you're at the fanciest restaurant in the world with a whole team of people waiting on you.
Yeah.
People throw the
true.
same 20% down, which I'm not. It's a generous gesture, and it's a wonderful gesture. But in Philadelphia, they do a thing called tipping out. And they'll actually say that to people. They have a whole persona about it. You go to a restaurant and people expect to be taken care of. And they use that phrase. Oh, I know Joe. Did Joe take care of you? Oh, yeah. Joe always takes care of me. So being taken care of means that you tip that person out. But tipping out also means that you actually tip the busboy separately. You tip the hostess who takes your coat separately.
Oh,
everybody gets a little.
Everybody
it's like
gets
the Goodfellas.
Yeah.
So, exactly.
I feel like
exactly. Listen, in that culture, the mafia is just part of the social structure. I mean, we had mafia guys who used to hang at our restaurant.
Wow.
Did you ever see any crazy shit?
Hey, Nick, do you mind if we use the dining room for a couple of moments? I know you're not open right now, but we just got a little business. Okay, no problem.
Yeah, you don't say no.
No.
Come around
Horse in your bed.
Come around the corner, and they are measuring out stacks of money. You don't count stacks of money. You measure them out. You know,
Wow.
like if they're even, then they're the same. You know?
Yeah,
Like,
right.
This stack is equal to this
You
stack.
count
They're
one
both
stack and
just
you
as-
measure the other stack.
you measure it?
Yeah. That's insane, dude.
Wow. What if the bill's a little crinkly? You're off like,
There's probably some crinkly
who
ones in there.
knows?
I
Loose change, I guess.
I wasn't that close to the situation.
Oh,
that
wow.
I'd know
Wow,
anything
that's
about it.
nuts. I can't even imagine.
What's the
Well,
like?
I will
ahead.
tell you another
Yeah,
little
okay, I was
story
hoping.
about that period
I
of
was
time.
hoping.
So, I'm still a very young guy. I mean, I'm not 30 yet. And
Me neither.
bars in Philadelphia stay open till 3 o'clock. And when 3 o'clock happens, you don't have to pick the drinks up off the bar. You can drink until you're done. There's also after-hours clubs. They start at 2 o'clock and they go until 4 o'clock.
So dangerous.
My God.
Yeah.
How is not everyone dead over there?
We would be dead.
I'd be dead. Maybe we're dead.
So I was still at that age where I actually partied with my crew. So we'd be out there
course.
just raging until 4 o'clock in the morning. And the next day, I'd be getting calls from them telling me how they were sick. And I'm going, motherfucker,
Yeah.
you are not
You're not sick.
We're all
I
going
know
through the
what's
same-
wrong with
yeah,
you.
Yeah.
Well, I had a little connection. Actually, I believe it was through my ex-wife. And so I scored what was a pretty high-grade upper. Those days it was called Black Beauties. They were excellent.
I've heard.
I had a
Heard of
guitar named Black Beauty.
And I had a barrel, which is like 1,000
Jesus
It's a lot of Black
Christ.
Beauties.
spantulas. Yeah. And I would dispense these things to everybody who called in sick. I said, get in here and I'll fix you.
I'm going to fix you right
That
up.
is
I'm
awesome.
I'm going to fix you up. So one day, one after another, the crew comes to me and says, hey, Nick, and, I need a little help. You got a little bump for me? I mean, I'm feeling a little rough this morning. I'm going, what is it? Is it like it's every goddamn one of you? And then all of a sudden I hear, oh, Nick. And I come around the corner and we have this brass shelf. And they have all emptied the spantulas on the brass shelf, and they have lined them out, and they have taken cocktail straws, and when I come around the corner, they all hit.
Oh, my God.
They emptied them
powder out
and they snorted the Black
And they
Beauties.
snorted the Black Beauties.
Oh, my God.
So what would that be compared to if it was an upper? What kind of like upper was it?
I'm sure it was, something along the lines.
Methy-ish, like early
Yeah.
meth?
Oh, yeah.
Because
Adderall
meth
or
wasn't
something.
meth right away, right? It went
No,
through
it
some
wasn't.
like
It wasn't sophisticated like Adderall.
Yeah, yeah.
No. It was just a smack up the side of the
Oh,
head.
jeez.
I mean, it was somewhere beyond, like cross tops. It was somewhere beyond Benny's, but it wasn't.
Yeah.
It was nothing.
Yeah.
things they don't make anymore. They cut that all out, right? In the 80s, they stopped making that stuff.
Quaaludes.
Oh yeah.
Quaaludes are gone in the 80s.
Yeah,
Yeah.
now we go for oxycodone. You
Yeah,
know,
exactly.
Like,
That's
Right.
so much better.
Oh, dude, I went to the dentist and I get a little nervous about the dentist because they're gonna like take some caps off.
Yeah, they're inside your body.
Yeah,
in
and it
your
hurts.
face.
Like, yeah, I'm scared, and I think it's because like when because I've had a bunch of cavities. I probably had 50 cavities in my life, like baby teeth, adult teeth. My teeth fucking suck. So I have like a little bit of fear because no dentist ever gives me enough Novocaine, and I can feel them drilling, and I scream. So now I've told dentists like, okay, I need like 3 shots. I'm
Double
like,
down.
Okay, triple down.
Triple down.
So my dentist, I know, she listens to this podcast. Oh, Dr. Mansell. This time she was like, hey, do you want the nitrous? I was like, let's do some nitrous. I've never done it legally before. I've done it in balloons and shit.
Put the thing on your face.
They put the thing on your face. Can I tell you how let down I was by the nitrous? I didn't feel fucking anything. I was bitching during the procedure that I wasn't high enough.
Yeah, but you weren't high enough.
I was not high enough.
No,
I was like, this was.
She needed it. Trust me.
So I was at the right level of high?
You weren't at the right level of high.
No,
You
I
needed
said
more.
turn this
You needed
motherfucker up. I
Exactly.
needed more. I was so
Exactly.
bummed.
She shorted you.
I know. I always thought doing nitrous during the dentist would be amazing, but
Well, those dentist bills are so large that you give you as much nitrous as you want.
I know.
Yeah.
Bullshit.
It is
See, man,
bullshit.
I mean,
Dentists,
who knows?
insurance for teeth suck. They suck.
I get it all through my wife, so I don't have to worry about it.
You get it all 100% done?
I'm
Your
sure.
wife's in the dentist.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I'm sure she was just trying to keep you from brain damage.
I don't know. I don't think I think I'm a lost cause for that shit. I say bring it. Anyways, I side railed us.
So I know there's probably a large gap between the story that you just mentioned and when you met Doug and first started working
Yes,
with
there
him.
is. Wait.
Help us fill in that gap.
My behavior changed.
Who's Doug? I don't know Doug.
Douglas Keane.
Okay.
Douglas Keane and I first met when I was the maitre d' of the dining room at the Ritz Carton in San Francisco.
Dang.
This would have been mid-'90s. He was a young man. He was kind of working his way into the business. He'd gone to Cornell, 4-year school,
That's a-
Ivy League.
that's a
this was
big deal.
It's no joke.
Yeah, no joke at all. Probably the premium hotel and restaurant management school in the land. So he was introduced to me by Stan Bromley, who was a legendary hotelier, and I think at that time general manager and vice president of the Four Seasons in San Francisco. And so
Take a little bit, James.
I was paying attention. And then Doug showed up doing a stage, kind of an internship with Gary Danko, who I was trying to get to come upstairs and be the chef at the dining room. Then the next time I ran into him, he was sous chef at Jardiniere. And a very good friend of mine, Doug Washington, was the general manager, maitre d' there. Probably an incredibly charismatic guy. And that was a lot of fun, that opening. And so we became sort of more friends. Then Gary and I were partners on the opening of Gary Danko, and Doug came to be the opening sous chef. He sort of did it as a little sabbatical from Jardiniere. And but it was great to work with him. I watched the way that he managed a crew. I watched the way he just had an equanimity about him. You know, he understood a larger picture than just that obsession with producing great food.
And his food is amazing.
Which isn't to say that any edge came off the food. It's just to say that he saw a larger picture. He wasn't completely lost in some kind of megalomania. And he left fairly quickly after Gary Danko opened, but we stayed in touch. And when the sort of partnership between Gary and I fell apart, we started talking about opening our own restaurant and what that restaurant would be. And our vision was what later became Cyrus that Adam worked at. And
so you were in San Francisco at Gary Danko with Doug, and you decided if we're going to do something together, what made you decide on Healdsburg specifically, or just...
Well, we didn't at that time. And in fact, after I left Gary Danko and Doug and I started actively pursuing a restaurant, we looked at spaces in San Francisco. And there, through a series of coincidences, we heard about hotel development in Healdsburg. And I was getting married, or had just gotten married to Carla, and we were going to have a child. And I don't think she was pregnant yet at the time, but we were going to have a child. And getting out of the city seemed like a really great idea. And
it's just interesting because there was nothing like what you guys did at the time there. Like there was really now Healdsburg has totally changed. It's become like this little mecca of like great culinary, like farm to table food and fine dining. But I feel like before Cyrus had got here, there wasn't really anything like that. You could think about like French Laundry in St Helena or in wherever that is over there somewhere.
I had known a woman since the early 80s, and she had been my sommelier at the Squire room. She was the first and youngest female sommelier in San Francisco. First female, and youngest sommelier around, and she was from Healdsburg. And she kept touting Healdsburg to me. She said, "You got to come up to Healdsburg. It's the greatest place in the whole world." And she went on to start Bistro Ralph.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And Renee Donahue. And Renee and Ralph started Ralph's. And that was sort of the first kind of gentrification. I mean, until then, I had gone to visit her hometown, and I had rejected it because I had teenage kids and it was full of biker bars. And I just, teenage kids and biker bars isn't a great
Not a
No.
good combo, no.
They're bad babysitters, those bikers. Bad, you can't, no good.
Not good
Get
influence.
your kids doing
No boy.
Black Beauties, by spatulas. Shit can go downhill.
It's bad news.
Oh my God. That's going to come back and bite me.
People have said way worse things. So you're
Don't
good.
worry.
So far, you're a saint on the show. But so you come to look at Healdsburg and you start to try and talk Doug into it, or you guys just
Well, no, Bobby Stuckey, who was at that time the sommelier wine director at the French Laundry, he was going to be a partner in the restaurant that Doug and I had envisioned. So it was going to be Doug, Bobby, and myself. I was going to do front of house. Bobby was going to do wine and beverage, and Doug was going to take care of the back of house. And Bobby came to us and said, "I met this guy who's going to develop a high-end hotel in Healdsburg, and I think you guys should talk to him." And we went there and we thought, boy, if there can be French Laundry, all the high-end restaurants that existed in Napa, why can't there be one in Sonoma also? And we had, Sonoma is a straight shot up the 101. It's 1 hour from the Golden Gate Bridge. It's easier to get to than the heart of Napa Valley.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's got a larger
Depends on the time of
population.
day. Because I've left the city at 5.
That's a whole
It's
nother.
not straight. It's a
One of the-
nightmare. I
one
almost
of the-
killed myself on 101 once.
When you get into wanting to conceive a restaurant,
Right.
one of the things you do is you look at life through rose-colored glasses.
Oh, hell yeah. I think any business, anything. You're like, and then we'll be on a mountaintop with a baby.
But there
like
is-
like a Pacifico case,
With the wind blowing
holding it in the air.
in my golden locks.
You got to believe it. You have to believe it. Because if you don't believe it, no one else is going to believe it either.
There's also something super unique to be said about, because now it's almost like a trending thing with really people going for that Michelin star, having kind of a remote area, like somewhere that you're not necessarily right next to, or in San Francisco or New York or anything. You kind of have to travel to go to that place, and it's part of the experience, I think, too.
Now, Nick, you've been around. How did the tire people become like our restaurant raiders? How did that happen?
Actually,
Do you know?
Oh, here we go. Yeah,
Thank God I'm getting some fucking answers.
You're asking the right
I'm
guy.
like, Jesus, Walmart approved. I'm like, whoop-de-doo.
It actually was very organic, because the Michelin people wanted people to drive. And this was back at the turn of the century when cars were a brand new kind of deal. And a lot of people who could afford to have a car, they also could afford to have a chauffeur, and being driven into the countryside was a really big deal. And so to encourage people to make drives, to travel to destinations, Michelin turned out their Guide Michelin to encourage French people to leave Paris and go to restaurants in the countryside.
That makes so much fucking
I
sense.
can't believe I didn't know that. That's insane.
It's like the AAA. They're always trying to be like, it's going to be big travels. It makes sense.
Dude, that is
Finally, dude, I've been
wild.
bitching about that for I don't even know how long.
It's episode 1.
Because a lot of people don't even know it's the same fucking people that make tires or the Michelin. They're the same Michelin, but
Yeah.
and you were saying it better. You were saying
Michelin.
How were you saying it?
Yeah.
You were saying it all
actually
very faint. I was like, I got
so-
Michelin.
This is really funny because my wife speaks Spanish, but she doesn't speak French, and I have terrible pronunciation. So she makes fun of my pronunciation. So when I say it, she goes, "Guide Michelin." She goes, "Guide Michelin."
Now I don't know who
Yeah.
anybody is.
I think.
that's funny.
I believe it's Guide Michelin.
Guy Michelin. Well, it makes sense because it's not. I mean, I never even knew it was a French company. Now you just tell me. I had no
Yeah.
idea.
Yeah, it's not.
I knew it
I
was
call
French.
it Michelin from Michigan. And Michelle, I work at Michelin from Michigan.
And we go here now. Whoo! So that first year at Cyrus, you guys. So when did like Michelin come in? Like when did Cyrus blow up? I guess I should ask.
It took off pretty quick.
Yeah,
It took
I
off
mean, it must have
pretty
been a
quick.
greatly anticipated
I think
restaurant.
that we had anticipation. Michael Bauer, who at that time was the power and
He
the
just
glory,
retired,
because
right?
he just retired.
Yeah.
But the whole business, you mentioned Yelp before, Google, every kind of social media. At this point, people get their restaurant information, their where to go information from the Thrillist, from their friends, from Facebook, from every place. But back then, you got it from restaurant critics.
Yeah.
And the number one restaurant critic wrote for the Chronicle, and it was Michael Bauer.
Yeah.
That was the guy you wanted. And he showed up on day 30. The 30th day we were open, because he always said he waits 1 month before he
That's
goes.
kind of nice of him
is,
not to
yeah.
show up like.
It's smart
on
to
the
do that
first
with any
night.
restaurant. I think give him a month. You know?
Yeah.
So he could. That's crazy that he was in that much control of the Bay Area, because if he gave you a bad
back then,
review,
Everybody listened to this guy, dude.
But imagine if you just opened your restaurant and he gave you a bad review, you were kind of fucking
You're done.
right?
You're done.
That's a lot of power in one man's hand.
It hurt. I mean, it could hurt, but he didn't hurt us. He gave us, I believe, a 3.5-star review that read, "If this place had been open more than a year, I would have given it 4 stars." Pretty
Yeah,
much that
right,
way.
right.
And
But-
that back then, that was like throwing on a light switch. I mean, we just took off like a rocket ship.
That's odd. But can you imagine today's standard, just one person? Because I mean, when I look at a Yelp review, I'm like, well, how many reviews is it? 951, 4.5 stars. That's a good fucking restaurant.
Yeah.
What if you just listen to the one
Yeah, dude.
person?
Yeah.
Now, obviously, he's got mad skills, but that's such a
Oprah.
different way of.
But I mean,
consuming.
he's got opinions and a certain palate, just like everyone does. So
Yeah.
it's like if you go somewhere and I'm like, James, this is the best torta I've ever had. You have to go get this
I don't
torta,
really like
and you try it. And
tortas.
you're like, I don't really like tortas.
I
Yeah.
don't really like the sandwichy.
Well, my point is,
I want a
he's one
burrito.
man with one palate, and he was like literally like
He was
he
like
had,
God.
like electricity in his fingers. He's like God. Yeah.
Did he have to pay for his meals?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
He always paid for his meals. He wasn't like comped anything.
But did you send?
Would you ever like
stuff
send
out?
him like some black beauty to his table or anything?
Full circle? He never forgets things. I should have told you this, Nick, earlier.
I'm just saying it might help.
It might.
Little side panel of spatulas. Just slide it by him. But you wouldn't send him anything.
Spantulas, by the way.
Some Michelin spatulas.
That's right.
I'm gonna die. But he would pay for all his meals. He would do all.
He would pay for all his meals. Sometimes we'd send him like little tastes of things that he hadn't ordered, just so that he'd know what they were. It wasn't like we were trying to bribe him with them. We were just trying to give him a bigger picture.
The best experience too. Like,
I mean that happens as a regular customer as well. Like, oh, this is from the chef.
oh
Check
yeah,
this out.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, if somebody's like sitting in your restaurant and they're like, you're talking about specials and they say they've never had an oyster. If you go to the kitchen and get them an oyster, it's like not going to cost you much, but it's like a kind of a cool thing. They're like, oh, this guy just brought me my first oyster.
I think I'd be afraid to give someone their first oyster. Because I love oysters.
They would just
but
look
if
at it,
someone's
"Are you fucking with me,
If someone's in their mid-40s and like, I've never had an oyster. I'm like, you probably are good. You haven't lived at all. You're going to fucking freak out. You've only had macaroni and cheese for 30 years. I don't think you're ready.
Yeah.
But that's
Let's
my
get you
view.
uni instead.
Yeah, see? I don't know.
So after that review, it was just like game on. I mean, it was already game on, but
Yeah.
you know what I mean.
The phones just took off. And then
Yeah.
back then, of course, it was phones. People had to call and they had to make a reservation, and there was this whole interchange that happened over the phone.
You had to
about
talk to someone.
You had to talk to someone, yeah.
And
This was,
you had to make a reservation. You couldn't just wander in.
before it took off,
Right.
you could wander in. I mean, if we had space, we took it.
Yeah, we're sitting you down.
Yeah. There was no, we weren't going to send you away.
No, but there's a whole little short interview when you made a reservation for somebody.
Yeah.
It was basically in a nutshell, it was kind of how can we make this the best possible experience for you? It was any allergies? Are you celebrating anything? What do you like? What don't you like?
I always feel like this celebrating something is a lot of pressure. It's my birthday.
It's my dog's birthday.
I'm afraid they're gonna come out and see. That was my biggest fear. This would never happen in your guys'
They're never
restaurants.
going to sing happy birthday to you.
It was my biggest fear. I think I had my first anxiety attack when I was 8 years old, and there's this place called Woody's. It's not around anymore. But it was a burger joint. I remember because they had Spy Hunter, and I loved going there. It's the only place we'd ever go and eat. And it was my birthday, and they made me stand on a chair, and they all sang happy birthday. But they couldn't sing happy birthday because it was copyrighted. They couldn't be happy birthday. So happy birthday, 1, 2, 3, happy birthday, happy.
Yeah, one of those.
I remember my face just went bright red, and I started sweating, and I was having an anxiety attack as an 8-year-old.
Sounds like a nightmare.
By the way,
So to this day, when they special kids, I'm like, no, nothing special.
Yeah.
Nothing, just coming to eat.
they sang their song because that was their song, not because happy birthday's copyrighted.
Actually, no, it really is copyrighted. It's been 2 years ago it was released, but you're not allowed to sing happy birthday in movies or in restaurants because it was owned by these two women for 60 years as a copyright infringement. If you sang happy birthday in a restaurant, you could be sued for copyright.
I have been flaunting that copyright for 50 years.
It's true.
I'm saying happy
I've been
birthday.
sued for copyright. It's a real thing. I mean, it's okay to do now, but yeah, that's why you had to get special permission to do it.
The happy birthday song's overrated anyway. It's just
I know it's kind of slow.
it's slow. It's
It
boring.
feels like you're dying.
As soon as somebody starts it, you know where it's going. It's kind of okay, I get it. It's a nice gesture.
And why is it the older you get, the slower the song goes?
And the deeper your voice gets too. So Nick, you're at Cyrus.
Mm-hmm.
You get a Michelin star. What is that like? So did you know the guy who was the Michelin representative? Were you maybe it's that guy?
Yes.
Okay.
We definitely did that. We knew that they were going to do a book on the San Francisco Bay Area. And we, as a restaurant person, you always take note of people that know more about food than the normal person does.
Right. They ask more questions.
They ask more questions. They have more knowledge. People will display their knowledge in the questions that they ask, and also in the follow-up questions when you give them an answer. So kind of where people's depth of knowledge is. And when someone has huge depth of knowledge, you're like, who is that person?
What do you do for
Right.
Yeah. Are you in the industry? Are you a writer? That there's somehow
Also solo.
He could just
diner,
be a
right?
jackass too, because there's that too, right?
Well, it
Very
could
true.
it could just be a foodie. I mean, there are
Totally.
foodies that have huge knowledge, but you want to pay a little more attention because you know that they've got extra critical eyes.
Yeah.
So if you know that one of those people could be Michelin, especially back then, we were paying even more attention,
Right.
And we were highlighting them.
Is the rumor of the solo diner true? Or could it have been one of 5 people at a table?
Well, a little story.
Okay.
Huh.
So here we are. We know that they're coming. Guy comes up from San Francisco. He's given us a San Francisco hotel number as a number. He comes up from San Francisco. He says, my wife won't be joining me tonight. She's not feeling well.
Likely story.
You killed your wife.
Well,
Oh no.
right off the bat, that is an odd story because, I mean, if my wife were sick, I would not make a 60-mile drive for dinner and leave her sick in a hotel room.
I'd be like, we're not gonna
going to dinner.
go. One time I showed up to a restaurant in LA, quick side story, and I had the flu, but we had a babysitter coming. We had a baby at the time. We were in LA to come, and she rode a 2-hour bus ride to be our babysitter in LA, but I was getting the flu while she was showing up. So I went to the dinner anyways because I felt bad about her 2-hour car ride or train. She flew a fucking
got there
kazoo.
somehow.
Who fucking cares? But in the middle of the restaurant, it was this weirdest restaurant in LA. You couldn't see anything. It was so dark. You had to use your cell phone to read the menu.
Oh, it was one of those.
And it was making me even nauseous. And I was like, I gotta go. And I left. I vomited outside the restaurant. My wife stayed down a $200 meal all by herself.
Jesus.
And then I went back and I
Cancel dinner if you're sick, people. Moral of the story.
So anyways.
Yeah.
So here the guy is, and
It's the only time.
all the lights in
And then I murdered
Healdsburg go out. All the power in Healdsburg's gone out. And restaurant's full, no air conditioning. We open all the doors and windows just to get a little breeze going through there. We're dispensing champagne like it's Kool-Aid.
Yeah.
No, we're dispensing champagne like it's champagne.
No one wants Kool-Aid. Have you had Kool-Aid recently?
Terrible.
Too much sugar.
And people are asking, when's the power going to come on? And you can't get any answers. Healdsburg is not PG&E. It's the city of Healdsburg itself. And at that time, they had no central information. You called the police, and the police had nothing that they could tell you. So I did not know what had happened or when the power was going to come back on.
This guy's already sitting in the dining room.
The guys, yeah.
Oh, he's there?
Yeah.
He's there. He's sitting in sitting in the dining room. We may have served him a course or, something, but we couldn't tell him when it was going to come back on. We couldn't tell anybody. So after about an hour, we kind of called it, and said, look, anybody who wants to leave because you want to get fed tonight, please, everything you had was with our compliments. Please let us know if we can book another reservation for you. We'd love to take care of you, but we don't want to hold you captive when we can't guarantee that we're even going to feed you tonight.
So are you like freaking out right now because you're thinking that guy could be Michelin, the lights are out, what am I going to do?
Well, I'm freaking out because I got a room full of people that I can't feed. I can't do anything for. But I mean, yes, I know this guy's there, but
he's not helping.
Yeah.
It's like, what else? Fucking
Throwing gasoline on the fire.
my ex-wife from Panama shows up. God damn it.
So he does. He references everything you've ever said and brings it right back into the story, doesn't he?
I'm going to drink this last beer if that's okay with you. Okay.
Jump right in there.
I'm going to have some more of the tequila.
There's half of it. It's so tall. But,
So tall,
to
be specific.
Yeah.
So
anyway, a lot of the people bail. Few people stay. Power comes on. I can't even remember when, but we end up feeding about half the people that had reservations that night. But this guy has left, and he calls me up, books another reservation, comes back again, and with the same story. My wife's still sick. I'm going, get the F out of here. You did not ditch your wife 2 days in a row in a hotel in San Francisco.
You know.
I'm dead sure.
Yeah.
I am dead sure of this.
Dude.
So, cut to the long story here. We got 2 Michelin stars that year. 1 Michelin star is a real acknowledgement. 2 Michelin stars, you are rocking. You are friggin' royalty. This is a great, great thing to be. But there is a pinnacle, and that pinnacle is 3 stars. French Laundry did get it up north that year.
How many restaurants get that, though, that world?
And I got to say that somewhere deep in our hearts, that would have.
You wanted that 3rd star.
I wanted that 3rd star.
Yeah.
That would have been the Amarini on our ice creams.
Yeah.
2 is unheard of, though. It's such an accomplishment.
And later, we're at a party, and the gentleman who's the arbitrator of the book, the publisher of the book at the time, he's being interviewed, and he tells a story. And in this story, he says, well, there was one restaurant that we were considering for 3 stars. But during one of our visits, they lost their power.
What? That's motherfucking City Healdsburg.
Beyond your control,
You hear that shit?
And they couldn't even tell us when the power was going to come back on.
Come on.
That's
God?
fucking
How are you
crazy.
supposed to
So
know?
basically, you got 3 stars. I'm calling it. Cyrus got 3 stars. 3 Michelin stars. I'm just gonna fucking call that shit.
You get a three Michelin star.
You know who
rating for
doesn't?
bar stories for sure.
Who doesn't get a Michelin star? City Healdsburg Power.
That's right.
Get your shit together, Healdsburg.
All right.
Low
Well, I
rent
think we need
town.
to do. Do you have a bar story for us?
Bar story. Let
Ooh.
me think.
I
about
know
it.
you've got a
Let me think
bunch,
about- Let me
but-
think about a bar story.
Anything with a celebrity would be bona fide.
No, I
Bonafide?
don't care about that.
With a celebrity, maybe a penis. I don't know.
Isn't it interesting, like when you ask somebody, like restaurant veterans, like to tell a bar story, and they're like, just their head floods with like,
50 million
yeah,
stories.
exactly.
Yeah. I was thinking about when we first started working in big hotels, everything was union. Unions were powerful, and there was this whole part of union shop that had to do with people having one job. There was, if you were a waiter, you were only a waiter. If you were a bartender, you were only a bartender. And waiters weren't allowed to do any bartending. Bartenders couldn't do any waiting. And busboys and everybody had their roles. And those shop rules were very, very strict. This restaurant that I was managing, it had 50, 60 seats. It wasn't that large. And it didn't have, it only had a service bar, like a little nook bar.
Right.
And so we had the most washed up bartender who had been suffering from bartender disease for way too many years.
Was his name Adam Welch?
This guy was deeply infected.
This guy was struggling, and he was mean and nasty to go along with it. And there were strict rules about using jiggers, to measuring. And of course, his hands shook so bad that what was supposed to be an ounce and a half actually turned out probably to be about 3/4 of an ounce.
Yeah.
That actually got into the.
I thought you were going to go the other way,
because
like 5
I know. I
ounces.
was like, motherfucker.
The rest of it was all spilled on the bar top. And it was
jeez.
oh God, it was painful. And he had to be tipped out a certain amount. And finally, I went, let me read all the union rules.
Because you can't fire him, right?
Well, he wasn't even in my control.
Oh, got it.
Yeah.
Because he was
Different
a bartender.
department,
yeah,
he was
right.
actually a different department.
Okay.
So I read all the union rules, and the union rules said that a manager could do anything. Manager could perform any function that a manager wanted, that all of those shop rules did not apply. So I said, we don't need a bartender anymore. And I set up a little bar cart with everything on it. And I had the little back bar there, and we operated without a bar. Now, my whole staff loved it because they didn't have to tip this guy out
Right,
anymore.
yeah.
My whole staff loved it because all of a sudden they started getting good drinks instead of getting these drinks that had nothing in them.
Sure.
And life was really, really good. And this restaurant actually, because alcohol was really important at that time, we started doing better and better and better. And we picked up a crew that would come in once a week. They didn't eat much. They'd drink more than a bottle of Dom Perignon apiece. And somewhere in the middle of the evening, all the guys would have these incredibly fancy watches, $80,000 watches back in the 80s. And they would take them off and they would start throwing them across the table and boasting about the latest watch that they had just got. Now, if you lived at that period of time, you kind of knew what these people's profession was.
Mathematicians. No? Oh.
Mafia?
They're selling coke, man.
It's San Francisco.
Yeah.
We didn't really. Yeah, there you go.
They're all from Miami. I mean Cuba. I mean Panama.
All the places that you get cocaine.
So these guys, I mean, oh my God, they would come in every week. We'd start them off with cocktails. They'd be drinking that Dom Perignon. Every now and then they would take one of their expensive Ferragamo loafers and stick it between the two handles of the door so that we couldn't get in the room.
Oh, shit.
Oh, because they needed
They wanted a bump.
a.
They wanted to party.
They're like, you got spatulas back there, Nick? That's how they talk. They go up an octave.
Man.
Yep. I come out one night and there are the head of our security and two detectives sitting out in front of the place, and they're going, "Do you know you've gotten that in the wine cellar?" I go, "Yeah, I got a crew that's working on their 20th bottle of Dom Perignon."
Yeah,
that's
I'm
what
trying to
I
get
got.
paid. Yeah.
That's what I got back there. This was a delightful crew. I got stuck back there once with the shoe in the door.
Oh, yeah?
And you witnessed
And-
what went on behind the loafer door.
I ended up, having to hang on to that little front bar like thought I was gonna, maybe. I was holding on for dear life.
That's funny.
It was a different time.
Have we done a cheers yet? I think we
No,
should do
I'd love to do a
cheers.
little cheers, though.
A little so tall.
Wait,
there.
okay, I'm gonna do so
come
tall,
on.
too. Yeah, I'm gonna man up.
exactly.
All
There
right,
we go.
cheers.
All right, cheers. Now we shoot it.
I got a bowl later.
Oh, delicious. Yeah, you'll be fine.
Man, it was
Because
really...
you always bowl sober, right?
Yeah,
I didn't.
you bowl better. When
Yeah.
I've had a couple of so tall.
So there's a good happy medium for that? It's like doing cocaine. There's a good amount. And
I
then
don't know
there's
that
like,
there's a happy
way
medium.
too much.
There's no
Yeah, there's no
Like,
happy medium.
it's too
no
much.
happy medium.
I don't have anything to say anymore.
There's no happy medium with nitrous. There's no happy medium with cocaine.
And Black Beauty. This episode is brought to you by Black Beauty.
That's
And
right.
The drug
for-
you forgot about.
Apparently, for Brett Kavanaugh, there's no happy medium for alcohol.
No.
And, sexual abuse either. So, just thought I'd throw that in.
You know what's
the facts.
funny?
These are the facts,
He's gonna be the Supreme Court judge. It doesn't even matter. All this is just like all bullshit. I mean, no, it's not bullshit, but it's all bullshit. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter.
It's all bullshit.
He's gonna be the Supreme Court judge.
Well,
I'm not saying I'm happy about it.
Nick, you
Wanna
should
make
tell
that
everybody
clear.
where we can find you.
Yeah, where can we find you, man?
2 birds, 1 stone.
Two
for
birds,
sure.
one stone. 3020 St Helena Highway North.
If you haven't been there,
St. Helena?
seriously go check it out. It's
I've heard
fucking
about it. I've never
amazing
been
food.
there.
We should go together.
I'd like to go.
Yeah.
We're gonna be dates.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
What are you gonna wear? I don't want to wear the same thing.
Wear whatever you want, baby. Or, I mean, different stuff. And then HPG, of course, we need to check
HPG
out.
is still rocking it.
Dude,
yeah.
it's packed every time I walk by there. That
Best-
patio, I'm like, oh my God.
I just ate there the other day. You're ever at HBG?
Yeah.
How have I not seen you there?
It's under the umbrella of Nick Peyton
Oh,
And Douglas Keane.
and Doug Keane.
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
They're cool people over there.
great people.
I was like, with my family, and the manager was like, "We all listen to your podcast. It's really fucking funny." And I was like, "Oh, that's so sweet of you."
Shout out to HPG. Thanks for
I
listening,
know, that
guys.
was nice of him. And then I think the chef was like, "Is Adam back from Ireland yet?" I'm like, "I didn't know he listened."
John. It's probably John.
I don't know. He probably introduced himself, but I forgot. I see my wave.
John's
Tall.
little boy.
He is tall. Yeah, he's tall.
Handsome.
Very handsome. Everyone's handsome in the restaurant industry.
Nick, thank you so much for coming on, man. I really appreciate it. You've been an amazing
a
guest.
pleasure being here.
We could spend 2 more hours like picking your brain and
We need
filling
more
in all those lost
Pacificos.
years. Yeah, exactly. We're gonna need to pick up some more beers. Thanks for tuning in, though, everybody, and we'll see you next time. James,
Adam,
Did you know that New Alchemy Distilling is making gin from Northern California wine?
get the out of here.
And they use 3 stills they designed to distill in-house. They source all the botanicals from local farms and purveyors, hand grind the juniper and spices. The best part is they distribute it. No middleman. So customers can get the same high-quality spirits for 30% less. Check out the Floret and Arborist gins available right here in town at Big John's Market and at Bottle Barn in Santa Rosa.
Adam, hands down the best Louisiana food in Sonoma County is the Parish Cafe, now with a second location in Santa Rosa. If you know good food in Sonoma County, you know about the Parish Cafe. Traditional New Orleans style cuisine using only what, Adam? Local California ingredients. Check out the Parish Cafe for restaurant locations and their kick-ass menu.